Hello, my name is Jack Sampel, and this is my case study for EDL 852. So a summarization of the case study. This takes place in a rural school district that is drastically growing. Process for a new middle school has started. The district hired an architectural firm that gave the district three options. The first option was to add an addition to the junior high school and move the sixth grade there, and it's kind of more of a secondary school right now. It houses grades 7 through 12, and they thought this might be a viable option. Option number two is adding to both the elementary and the junior high school. And the last option would be to build a middle school that houses grades 6 through 8. They decided that this was the best long-term decision. While it's the most expensive, it's the best for how the school district's growing. And so this really split the community into three different groups. Group number one, owners of large amounts of land, wanted no additional debt until their original debt from the first two schools was paid off in full. And this would be about 9 years from now. Group number two didn't want a huge tax increase, so they wanted the less expensive options of 1 and 2, and group number 3, which primarily consisted of new community members, supported the building of a new middle school. Next, the Board of Education finally, after 4 months of debate from these three groups, approved the addition of the new middle school by a 4-to-1 vote, and the voters in the community approved this 53 to 47. Construction for the new middle school would take approximately 18 months. A new principal was hired 12 months before it was open. So she was hired in August, a year before the middle school would be open. And the new principal's duties included making staffing decisions, organizing school programs, and collaborating with architects and builders. And that's mainly going to meetings, making sure everything's up to the speed of the process. Staffing decisions, most of the staff from the grades taught in the school district wanted to move to the new middle school. She only ended up having to hire 4 new teachers to fill that middle school. And Miss Potter is her name, and she was the newly assigned principal. She wanted to create an advisory committee for vision and planning. And this committee was comprised of 4 teachers from different subject areas and 4 community members who were parents, plus Miss Potter, of course. So Miss Potter established democratic guidelines for the committee. She wanted it to be a consensus vote. While she said majority rule would go, she wanted them to pretty much be at a consensus and everything, be up to what the community's needs were and the staff's needs. She did not want to take the chair position for the committee, though. She said that while she wanted to be in the process, she did not want to be the authoritative figure going into this. She wanted to be a part and make sure it was going right, but she wanted it to be definitely a group effort. And so she appointed Helen Burke for this position. She's a teacher, social studies and English. So the community members agreed eventually, but really thought that she should be the chair. The first task for the committee was to create a vision statement to reflect the collective values of the community at large and the members of that advisory committee. And Ms. Potter stated that this should be done as a group, first by attaining a philosophy statement, then building on that philosophy statement through the values represented and presented within the committee. Next, it would go to the Board of Education approval process, and the superintendent would approve it as well. So Helen and the rest of the board members believed that Miss Potter should create the visionary statement. It came from a place of trust. They're like, we trust you. You got this. You're the expert. You go ahead and do it. We'll tell you if we don't like it. So Ms. Potter spoke with Helen because she was not about this. She was like, wait, pump the brakes, guys. This is supposed to be a collaborative process. And Helen has some pull in the district. Her brother is a Board of Education member. He's the only Board of Education member who's a farmer who approved the new middle school. And he said, Miss Potter is a great visionary leader. We trust her. She's got this. Go ahead and whatever she puts out, we'll be fine. But Miss Potter, she's not backing down. She reiterates how they should collaboratively create the vision statement and the mission statement. Essentially, the other team members and the other, the advisory committee state they would tell Ms. Potter whether they agreed with it or not, but they weren't going to help create these statements. They're like, you got this. We're on the committee, but we're not going to help with this task. Came down to a vote, and the members agreed that Ms. Potter should create these statements alone. One parent said she was willing to go with it, but she abstained during the vote. So I think she was just trying to be a team player and appease her. So next we have the legal issues. Really, there's no legal issues here. The committee is acting within their rights. They're not necessarily doing a great job of collaborating, but they're not really doing anything legally wrong. Next, we have ethical issues. Huge ethical dilemma. Overall, Ms. Potter is trying to incorporate a culturally shared vision statement for the community and for this middle school. And an ethical issue is that community members are not collaborating to do that. She's new to the community. She doesn't know what the needs are. She doesn't know what the values are. She doesn't know what the ideas are. So she's trying to incorporate that within this vision statement. And the only way that can be done is by collaboration. And, she's worried that they're just going to rubber stamp it and say, hey, that's a great one. She could say, our students are going to shoot for the moon, and she thinks they'll approve it, which, she's trying to do things right. It's her first head principal job. So the last ethical issue is the dynamic between the committee and Miss Potter. While they want her to lead them, it ultimately comes down to they want her to lead their way instead of democratically, which is what she'd like to do. She wants to do things right. So the synthesizing sentence, Ms. Potter would like to collaboratively create vision and mission statements that reflect the community's values. The members within the advisory committee believe Ms. Potter should and can create sufficient statements on her own as the new building principal. So let's go into the people facts. First, we have Susan Potter. She's the new middle school principal. She's an experienced educator. She has previous experience as an administrator. She was an assistant middle school principal previously, and she wants to collaborate and do things right. That's the way she's trying to do it. She was a little apprehensive about going into a rural setting, but she really wanted to partake in shaping this new middle school correctly. Next, we have Helen Burke. She's an English and social studies teacher, and she's the chair of the board. Her brother is on the Board of Education. And we have Joe Rawlings, the superintendent of Light Community School District. He was the one who originally opposed that they needed a new middle school, and it was eventually confirmed by the architectural firm that this was the correct way to go. Next, we have Helen's brother. He's the only farmer on the board to approve the new creation of the middle school, and he thinks Miss Potter is a great visionary leader. We have Dan Kelby, a physical education teacher on the advisory committee. He cares about athletic programs. He said, hey, that's what I really care about. He thinks that if we're all going to talk about what we think a vision statement should be, we're just going to be spinning our tires in the mud. He doesn't think that the process is going to go anywhere. Next, we have the actual advisory committee. This is a group comprised of Miss Potter, Miss Burke, Mr. Kelby, 2 other teachers, and all the teachers are from different subject areas, as stated before, and 4 parents / community members. And this group is in charge of vision and planning, and they do not agree except for the one parent who I think just wanted to show support for Miss Potter and abstained from the vote. She didn't really vote that they should follow Miss Potter's process. Place facts. So Lightville Community School District serves 2 rural townships. 60% of the residents living on farms. It currently has 2 school buildings, with the third one in the middle school being built. First one houses K through 6. The second one houses 7 through 12. Both are located on a 65-acre lot, 2 miles outside of Lightville. The elementary school is 22 years old, and the secondary school is 11 years old. And it's 10 miles outside of a major city, and that can make it relatively well known of an area. People are like, oh, I've heard of Lightville, but, they don't really go out there too much. But now it's starting to become attractive. The rural setting is very big in this era. And so people are wanting to get out of that urban environment and go to a more rural, quiet setting for their children. Next, we have the program facts. The enrollment for the school district 25 years ago was 758 students K through 12. Right now, it's over 1,200. And so that's not even breaking 100 per class, but it's still, a lot of stuff going on for a district that did not anticipate this, and it's growing 2% each year. The increase is expected due to land values. I guess it's pretty cheap around Lightville. And the rural environment, as mentioned before, the district provides, and the relatively newer schools. Many of the teachers currently teaching grades 6 through 8 decided to make the switch to the new middle school. And that only left 4 new teachers to be acquired. And it's a public school district, provides education for grades K through 12. So let's review the information. The decision by the advisory board to not specifically collaborate pertaining to vision and mission statements could eventually lead to Ms. Potter losing her footing, so to say, early as a new head principal. I know that would shake me. I'm sure it's shaking her, and she wants to do things her way, and she believes that's the right way, and she wants everybody to have a say. This could also lead to the community, parents, Board of Education, students, and staff not agreeing wholeheartedly down the road with the mission and vision statements. It could be a step in the wrong direction for what is needed within that community. Ms. Potter's new to the community. She knows this. She's acknowledging it, and she wants that help and collaboration to make these statements. She knows it's a big deal. Currently, there's no stakeholders to contact in order to make this decision. Superintendent might need to be contacted at a later time or date if necessary. If this is still going the way it's going, I think Ms. Potter can pull it off, but he might need to get involved, Mr. Rawlings. And I think there's enough information to make a solid decision. So let's go through the possible options and consequences. First, not make a decision at all. Take no action, just go along with it. Hey, the advisory committee wants that. I'll go ahead and do it. This could result in starting off on the wrong foot for Ms. Potter. She wants to do things her way, and that's her right as a new head principal. Also, it could hurt her demeanor as the new head principal, and it could affect everybody, and they might see her as a pushover, and they might also not agree with those vision and mission statements. So there's a lot of things at play here. Number 2, provide resources to emphasize how collaboration is necessary for vision and mission statements. Once resources are reviewed by the committee, Ms. Potter should express the need for collaboration again. This should involve taking a strong stance with the guidelines and expectations and democratic process each member agreed upon originally. Lastly, they should draft the vision and mission statements accordingly and collaboratively. This is the safest option, keeps the committee together while also instilling Ms. Potter's wish for collaboration. Also, it helps the community, parents, and staff know that Ms. Potter is not an authoritarian, but she wants to see her school run the way she thinks it should be run. And that's not necessarily, rule with an iron fist, but it's a strong statement. And, that's what she wants to instill. And everybody gets a say, collaborative process.